Hello and welcome to NewsWest 9's Midland Mayoral Forum. I'm Krista Escamilla, and we are so glad that you're spending some time with us. We are excited to bring you a conversation today with the three candidates who are running for the mayor spot in Midland. City Councilwoman Lori Blong is with us today. Thank you, Lori, for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
We also have former Mayor of Midland, Jerry Morales.
Yes,
thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
And retired carpenter, Robert Alan Dickson. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you spending your time, and I'll explain a little bit about the format. This is very conversational. We just want to get to know you a little bit more. I'll ask you a question. You'll have about 2 minutes to answer the question. And as I mentioned, very conversational, and we want to just find out why you want to be the mayor of Midland. So we'll start with that question. Lori, why do you want to be the mayor of Midland?
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having me, and I'm excited about this. You know, I'm a native Midlander. I was born and raised here, and it's very important to me that we have a good city government. And so I really began getting super involved in 2018 and 19, and then ran for city council in 2019. And one of my main priorities at that time was to really investigate the transparency of City Hall and make sure that we were managing things well and give a little more communication to people in the community. And that has continued to be a priority for me. But then also, you know, I'm a mother of 3, and I was a former teacher. And then now my husband and I have an oil and gas company that we began in 2013. And I really have seen the attack that our industry has taken from the federal government and from you know, the Biden policies that have really challenged so much for oil and gas. And I think that we need effective local oil and gas professionals who are advocating for us on a national and a global level sometimes. So keeping our eyes here towards home as the mayor, but also looking towards how we can expand that in the oil and gas industry. And then really, I think a huge priority for me is to make sure that we're keeping our taxes low, that we are finding any places that we can to cut any fat in the budgets so that we're not taxing homeowners and taxpayers any more than we have to. And so that's a huge priority for me in this campaign. So I really have had a lot of opportunities in the last few weeks to reach out and have listening events and spend some time in the community listening more to what all is a priority to the community. And so I would really welcome anybody that wants to reach out to me. If you have other concerns or things that you want to share, I'd welcome that.
Thank you, Lori. And Jerry, why do you want to be mayor of Midland again?
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm honored to be here today. And you know, there's a lot of encouragement and support to run for this mayor race. As you know, I was the former mayor of Midland, Texas for 6 years. And prior to that, city councilman at large. Midland's my home. Midland's my roots. I have owner of 3 restaurants. Proud that one of our restaurants has been here for 4 generations since 1977. Head Artist Casita. Little plug for the Mulberry Cafe as well. And I have 3 grown children. 2 of them are really helping me with the restaurant. And then I have 4 grandchildren. So Midland's really home. It's my roots. And as we have seen in the last 3 years, never in my life have I seen inflation like I have today. And so my son and I were talking about, you know, the price of chicken, for example, has doubled in cost, produce double in cost. You can't find inventory, you're getting replacements. And so I'm really concerned about our leadership. I'm a strong leader, I'm a communicator. I ran my city, the Midland, on transparency and communication. And I think that today we need it more than ever. What we're seeing that's happening to small business operators like myself, it's important that back home that we're doing everything to keep the taxpayer their money. They work hard for that paycheck, and they want to make sure that they're getting a good service return on their investment. So I plan to continue being forward and transparent as I was in the past. Under my leadership, our council did a great job of sprinkling projects throughout the community. We need to talk about water, we need to talk about road infrastructure, we need to talk about strategic planning, and all of these great things that make our city the city it is. So I'm proud to be in this seat today to be running for mayor, so thank you.
Good, thank you. And we'll talk about some of those things in
Absolutely.
a few minutes. And also, Mr. Alan Dickson, and you prefer to go by Alan, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Alan, why do you want to be the mayor of Midland?
Well, I moved here in 1977, and I'm retired now at 65. Midland's always been good to me, and I thought, shoot, I'm retired. I thought I'd try to give back to it and, you know, do the best I can. I see Midland College has got a bunch of work going on, fixing to start up there, and they're using mid-tech, which I think to use local contractors is excellent. You know, we on the jobs that are done here in Midland, I think we need to stick with local people, local contractors, and Midland's an oil town. You know, we need to cater to working with the oil companies the best we can, and you know, just you know, work together and talk and work things out in a positive way to do things. You know, so I'm new at this and just throwing my hat in the ring to see, you know, to try to give back to Midland a little, and that's pretty much it.
Fantastic.
So.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you all three for doing this, because our community, we all love our community so much, and we know that it's a big job and a big role to run for mayor, and so we appreciate you all here today and sharing why you want to. The next question is important because I think a lot of people have issues that are important to themselves, right? They affect them personally. We want to know what you all feel is the most important issue facing Midlanders today, and what would you do to change it? Lori, we'll start with you.
I really believe that the most important issue facing Midlanders today is inflation and the impact of property taxes on the bottom line for families. We know that we're paying too much at the grocery store. We know that we're paying more than we have in a long time for gas. And so the household budget is stretched. And so I think that paying close attention to places that we can cut the city budget, but also be really responsible with those taxpayer dollars. And I've been on council for the past 3 years, and one of our significant priorities was to find some of these places where excessive spending that we could cut. And so one of those places that we did was we fired our lobbyists in Austin and in DC. They had that contract for over 20 years, and I could not find anything that they were producing for us. And so we fired them and cut that contract. We've also found places like we had a long-standing 20-year contract with the group that managed all of the parks and those facilities, all the maintenance costs, and they were unchallenged for 20 years. They had that contract, and we saw that our parks were deteriorating, and so we were able to break that contract apart, invite 2 other contractors to the table to provide some competition and really benefit the outcome that we had in maintenance with parks, but then also saves the taxpayers some dollars. And so I think it's looking for those kinds of creative solutions that actually affect the bottom line of the budget in the city, and then standing firm to make sure that we're doing that, so that ultimately we can keep our taxes as low as possible for the community of Midland. I also think that it's important for us to pay attention to oil and gas companies and be a place that's friendly for business, friendly for oil and gas. And so you know, that ultimately impacts our economy and is beneficial to our community as well.
Thank you, Lori. Jerry?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me as a small business owner, and again, raising children here, I think it's so vitally important that we get clear transparency. The communication is vital. Taxpayers, as I just alluded to, when you're spending your hard-earned money, working so hard for it, you want to make sure that you're getting a strong conservative budget. Council being physically responsible, that we're out there overseeing things that are developing in our community. We know that we're one of the fastest growing cities in the nation and always have been. Our population has continued to grow since the 1950s. I can tell you as a former mayor, we have addressed every strategic plan, every data. We had to identify what was behind, what was not being addressed. So we'll use roads, for example. Never in history has the council ever identified the usage of road and the wear and tear on them. And that's how the passage of the road bond came about, because we were able to go to the voters and say, look, there's 26 roads that are fixing to reach their end. It's going to cost $100 million. We were very clear and transparent about that. In 3 years, we have not seen any state of the city to address our budget, to address our water, to address our roads, to address our parks and where we're growing as a community. And again, this is our community. We need to work in unity as one. All of the tax entities need to be out of silos, on the table, talking about what's coming forward to the taxpayers so that they can budget. These bonds are very expensive. Where's water coming next? If we don't address water, then we're going to lose out to some of the larger cities, and it's going to be very expensive. We live in the desert. Our oil and gas needs water. How are we going to work together to share that resource, that very viable resource? So again, it's communication. To me, it's been very important that each council member work together to share what's happening in their district and that we're working together to unify our community and talk about these issues. So I definitely want to bring transparency back to the table.
Great, thank you, Jerry. And Alan, how do you feel? What is the number one most important thing Midlanders are facing today, and what would you do to change it?
Well, I'm all for keeping the taxes down. You know, that's everybody wants to keep the taxes down, and we need to, I think, like Jerry said, work on the water situation. I'd like to see Midland put up several more water tanks, because it's just a matter of time in the years to come, several years or whatever, we're going to have a drought, and we need to start preparing for it now. And we need to stand behind our police department on trying to, knock some of these drugs out. And I think when somebody gets busted with drugs, that they should have to serve a month or more in jail before they're even allowed to put up parole. I think they need to sit in there and for a while and try to let them see if they get caught again, it ought to double. And just try to, work within the fire department. We probably need to kind of try to expand both police and fire department, because Midland's growing, and they're outgrowing the Midland and police fire department. We got the best you can get, and just need to try to work on all that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Jerry, you mentioned communication. That actually is our next question. We want to talk about communication. We live in a pretty communicative culture with social media, and we have this access, but yet sometimes people feel like they're not receiving the information right away. What would you do to improve communication in this communication culture? Lori, we'll start with you.
I think that it is a challenge to get things pushed out. We have so many different mechanisms of communication. We have, where you used to just have one or two versions of a way to talk to the community. Now there's so many. And so channeling clear communication is important. I think that it's important to have town halls. And I have had a couple of town halls in the last 3 years on council. I think that they've been important to communicate out what we're working on and to hear from constituents. It's communication outward and inward that's important. And so that's really critical. I also believe that we need to be utilizing social media, and we need to be utilizing our newspaper and all of the local news outlets like NewsWest 9 and other sources. But I think we have to have a full court press. We have to use all of the above to try to communicate messages out to the community. We have kind of redeveloped the communication department at the city in the last 3 years, and so you've probably seen a lot more communication coming from the public information officer, pushing out on social media more consistently, but also pushing out press releases in the paper and in other forms of communication. So I think those are all essential, but I think as the mayor, it's critical for the mayor to prioritize as many face-to-face interactions with people as possible. And so that needs to be the chamber state of the city address, and it needs to be other opportunities to address large gatherings in our community, to be present and visible and accessible to the community so that communication can take place. And that's a busy job, but it's important. It's critically important. And I think we have seen through the last 3 years, with the struggles that we've had through COVID and economic challenges, local leadership is critical. We need strong leaders who are proven, as we have been in these last 3 years for the city council and for the mayor. So I think that we need all of the above approach to communication.
Thank you, Lori. Jerry?
Yeah, it's exciting with technology nowadays. We can really get into homes, into hospitals, we can get into nursing homes. And so there's no really excuse of why we should not be able to reach the constituent. The apps are updating all the time. I was proud that our city council actually invested $9 million into fiber optics and improving all of the technology in downtown. And as we were revitalizing downtown, we took that into consideration of how do we make it more technology friendly so that if we are downtown or we're having to do it, we had several times where we had to take our city hall meetings and city council meetings into the Bush Convention Center, which is the old convention center, and have town hall meetings there. You have to make sure you have that technology to reach people. But social media is great, and each department, they are responsible for what's happening in their areas. So for water or roads, it's important that they're getting that information out, whether it's written or doing a 10-second video, but they need to be sharing what's happening individually with their departments. The mayor's the face of the city. He needs to be out there. He needs to be in those district meetings talking and sharing the information that's going on. And so I'm proud to say, that when I was mayor, we were very vocal. We were very, very visible. We wanted to help each other. Again, as I mentioned, silos. We did not work in silos as a council, but we worked together. As I like to say, this whole city is one city council district, and we represent all people. So we want to make sure that we're never leaving anybody out in the communication process. So communication, there's no excuse of why we should not be able to reach the constituent through all the updated technology.
Thank you, Jerry. And Alan?
I'm low tech, to be honest with you, but technology is very important. And what I would do is I'd get a group of people from each news station and stuff as a group, and I'll sit down once a month and discuss how Midland's going and what we need to do to get things in order in the right perspective. Because, like I said, I'm new at this, and I appreciate anybody's input to sit down and let's talk about it once a month. And the people that are out there like y'all know what's going on. You know more so than I do probably, and that way kind of just work on that to work together towards seeing what needs to be done.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for all three of your answers. We appreciate you. We want to talk a little bit now about infrastructure. What do you feel needs to be addressed within the infrastructure of Midland that you feel should be a priority if you were elected mayor?
Well, I believe that a lot of Midland is experiencing what we call orange cone fatigue. We've had so much construction and so much improvement to our roadways. It was much needed, and I think that the $100 million road bond was critical for the benefit of our community, but we're kind of weary of some of that construction. And so I think that now it's time for us to prioritize and schedule those projects out sequentially so that it's not all torn up all over the place all the time, and pace those things out. But I do believe that the road bond was a critical piece to get us caught up to where we need to be, and now have annual dollars built into our budget for maintenance and ongoing transformation of our infrastructure. When that's storm drainage and our water system and our roads, all of that infrastructure is critical, but it needs to be a systematic part of the plan in ongoing maintenance and operation in our budget. So I think that part is critical. The other thing that is really an essential thing for our community is water. And we live in a desertous environment where it needs to be a concern at the forefront of the mayor's mind and of the city council and city staff to make sure we're not planning just for water immediately, we're planning long-term for the water solutions that will impact our kids and our grandkids. And so we have secured now the contract with Fort Stockton Holdings, and that contract is the first step in a broader process to be able to get that water to Midland. And we need to be planning for right-of-way acquisition. We need to be planning for the engineering and construction for that project. And this is going to take time. This is not an immediate project that we're going to do in the next year or two. It's a thing that we need to be working on in the next year or two, planning for future generations. So that sort of systematic, structured, intentional look at our ongoing maintenance and operation for infrastructure, but then also looking forward to the future, to me is the most important thing we can be doing right now.
Thank you, Lori. Jerry, what do you feel is the...
Yeah, as I mentioned, you really can't address and identify areas until you've done your research. You really have to get with each of the departments and do data and have strong data to support where you need to belong. So with that being said, again, as you heard me mention, we identified the roads, road maintenance in particular. When I got on city council in 2008, prior to that, there was only $1 to $2 million being put into the budget for road maintenance. When we left in 2019, over $10 million were being allocated out of the budget towards road maintenance. So in addition to the $10 million, we got the $100 million road bond passed. That doesn't mean we're finished. We're just addressing 5 years of 26 roads, and half of that with utility infrastructure. What happens next? Do we need another 3-year bond? Do we need another 5-year? We need to go to the citizens and talk to them. As Lori mentioned, we're all tired of seeing that orange cone. So maybe we take it a break and just focus on road maintenance and potholes. Water, under Mayor Perry's leadership, we put in the T-bar infrastructure and brought us a 48-mile line in 364 days. I was glad to be a major part of that project. Under my leadership, we bought the Clearwater Ranch. We need to secure the Fort Stockton Holdings. If we don't do it today, like we did the T-bar in the 1950s, we're going to be in a very bad situation for our great-grandchildren. Parks, got to understand where parks stand. Very, very excited that our council did a great job of updating almost half the parks in Midland when we were in term. And of course, downtown revitalization, we've seen that. That was a major, major undertaking, but through private-public partnerships, we now have a Bush Tennis Center, municipal court. We have all that business climate down there. So it's exciting that what we did with our council. Infrastructure has to be done after you've identified what needs to be completed so that the taxpayers are not forced with a higher budget.
Thank you very much, Jerry. And Alan?
I think on the infrastructure of, you know, the road work is annoying and kind of a hassle, but, you know, when it passes, it's nice to have them fixed right. And I think they kind of spread out a little much. They need to concentrate on what they start and finish that before they get so spread out. And, you know, on that downtown deal, I know it's a building or so they're going to take down from what I hear. I think we need to look at what's left and try to see what we can do towards, you know, salvaging and working with what we got. I hate to see them all keep coming down. And, you know, just, you know, like I said, the road work's going good. It's just a hassle. And we just got to be patient, hang in there. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alan. As a parent, I want to say thank you, whoever was involved with parks, and I know it was both of you, and I'm sure you've been to a park, Alan, but the parks, as a parent, are such a gem in our community, especially Centennial Park. I mean, it really is so wonderful to see so many families out there, and I know the revitalization has been years in the making, at least the 24 years I've been here in Midland. I know many buildings are now being demolished, as Alan just mentioned. Is there anything in particular, especially we just found out the Western Union Life Building is coming down. Is there anything in particular or any ideas of what may be going into those locations that we can maybe look forward to, as we have just seen with the revitalization?
One of the things I think with the downtown revitalization and the expansion that we've seen is the importance of communicating well what's available and then inviting other people from the community to participate. This needs to be a collaborative conversation with local business leaders and foundations, as well as the city of Midland. And so, you know, as we look at the Western United Life Building being demolished shortly, I believe it's critical that we put this out for RFP, for request for proposal, so that we can bring in as many different contacts as we want to, but it's not anybody's pet project. I think in previous administrations we sometimes saw pet projects that came up and the community did not know or understand, like the previous hotel deal that was planned. And so that was a big struggle when I first got on council in 2020 to work through that hotel deal and say this was not a transparent process, this was not clear to the community, and I don't believe that it's in the best interest of the taxpayers. And so we ultimately rejected that, and we're bringing that building down, and now we're going to put that out for proposals so that everybody who's interested in developing that property can bring their best proposal to the community, to the city council, and to the MDC to propose their project, and we can evaluate and choose the best option for the taxpayer and the best option for the community members to utilize that. I think that RFP process is a critical component of transparency in local government, because we can demonstrate what are the metrics that we're using to make these decisions, and everyone can apply and participate in the process, rather than council going out for pet projects and looking for friends and relationships that they have that they want to be able to start a new project. And so that's a really significant priority for me, to put things out for RFP.
Great, thank you very much, Lori. Jerry?
Yeah, so again, Mayor, what are you doing taking the courthouse and blowing that up? Well, you know, I had a vision, I saw it, and again, being a longtime Midlander, prior to being on council, I saw these eyesores. Our downtown was literally an eyesore, and the courthouse was an example of being able to work with a county and saying, let us take that over. After we put it out in full transparency that if you like this building, there's opportunity for you to purchase it. Nobody came to the table. At the end of the day, you and I, the taxpayer, were having to pay the taxes on an empty building. That shouldn't happen. That's what's going on in downtown today. So we have to address these empty buildings. We blow it up. Everybody has a vision. And again, look at what transpired. A beautiful, beautiful downtown revitalization with partnerships. Some of the other buildings that are downtown, you know, you try to address these buildings and find the best projects that you can. Some of these owners that come in with your hotels, they want the city to incentivize these programs. As a mayor and our city council, we were never going to put up taxpayers' money in that magnitude of money because we might as well run it and own it ourselves. But there are opportunities for other offices. There's a lot of opportunities for family projects through the Midland Development Corporation, who was a great partner for us for helping bring these projects, working through them. There is a little time that you have to work through them financially to make sure it works. But I can tell you as a leader and as a representative of this community of the people, you're going to find the best project that works for Midland. So Midland is now a vibrant downtown. I'll never forget when Omni was looking for our downtown, they said, y'all are the hottest city in America right now, and we need to be there. Well, we would love to have you, but we're not paying for your project. So it's important as we look at these projects that we're working together. And again, as I keep saying, we all need to share our resources because we can address these and get these people in faster, these companies in faster, without the taxpayers having to foot the bill.
Thank you, Jerry. And Alan, any ideas what you would like to see downtown?
These old buildings that are vacant, that are sitting, I'd have to, me as a retired carpenter, I'd have to go in them and look at them and walk through them to see, what we're looking at. It's hard to say when you just see it passing by. But now, things are looking good downtown. Might need to outsource if we can do something with one or two of those old buildings. Might need to outsource to see if we can get some companies to come in and rent them or occupy them if we're able to do something with them. But like I said, I'd have to go down and look at them personally before, I can get too serious about it, because they may not be worth fixing up. But I think that you got your main structure, and I think they would be, but like I said, I'd really need to kind of look at that. So
put those carpenter skills to the test.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Alan. Okay, we're going to have a little fun, little rapid fire questions, just first thing that comes into your mind, and we'll just go down the line. So, Lori, if you're elected day one, what's your number one thing you're going to do?
I think mostly make sure that I'm in front of people immediately. I think there needs to be constant communication, direct communication to people in Midland. And so that presence in our community through town halls and other conversations, I think is the most critical thing that the mayor can do. The mayor is the face of Midland. And so as mayor, I intend to be in front of people and make sure that as we have other projects and other things coming up, things that are important to our community, we're communicating well and consistently from day one.
Very good. Lori, thank you. Jerry, number one thing.
Yes, I'm looking forward to having a city council retreat, sit down with all the council members, see where they think Midland's going, get feedback from them, talk to the department heads, police chief, fire chief. I want to get information from all of our city staff to better understand what they believe the community stands today. And then once we've collected all that data, then we get in front of the public. And I think it's time for a good state of the city, share where we're going, what our vision is.
Thank you, Jerry. And Alan, number one, besides changing your name plaque on the door, what are you going to do if you're elected mayor?
First thing I'd probably do is say what I do now. I would do like Jerry said. I'd work to get with the fire department, police department. I'd like to get with the reporters from the different radio stations, news stations, and get everybody's opinion of what we need to really concentrate and work on.
Great.
So
thank you. How would you describe your leadership style, Lori?
My leadership style is predicated on collaboration. I think the most important thing that we can do as leaders in an organization like the company that I run with my husband is communicate well with the people that are our clients, but also the people that work for us. And the same thing with the city. I think that collaboration needs to take place between the county and the hospital and all the other taxing districts, the city council, and then all the other folks in our community, the leaders in our community. We need to have ongoing conversations in collaboration to arrive at better solutions than we can individually.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
Jerry?
I'm absolutely boots on the ground. I don't just talk the talk, but I walk the walk. And I really enjoy being out in the community, working with the employees, working with the staff to understand where we're going. So I like to be the face. I like to be out there working with everybody, letting them know that everything's going to be okay and that we support whatever it is. We support you 100%, and that we're unifying our community to be a better place so that our great-grandchildren are going to be proud of the community that we left them.
Thank you, Jerry. Alan?
I just working with the hospital, I think we got one of the best hospitals you can get here in Midland. Russell Myers, through the COVID deal, I don't think anybody could have run it better than the whole deal than what he did. And you know, I like seeing us stand behind them, stand with them, and just, you know, go from there. Just Midland's a great town, and you can't beat it. So.
Couldn't agree more. It is a great town. So someone just steps off an airplane, right? Our great Midland International Airport, and they meet you for the first time. You're standing right there. Where's the first place you're going to tell them to go see in Midland?
Probably the Petroleum Museum. I think that there's so much history and information there, but it's engaging. I grew up going to the Petroleum Museum and remember that fondly, but then also, even as an adult, go back there and learn something new each time just about our community's history and about our industry, what makes our community tick. So I think it's one of the greatest benefits for our community.
Thank you, Lori. Jerry, first place they're going to go.
Again, I'm all proud of downtown and everything that it's offered. I think that, again, with all the new structures, buildings, the business climate down there, people walking around, they're going to be able to visit with the families and those business owners down there to get a better understanding of what our community is about.
Alan, where are you going to tell them to go?
Well, we got that spaceport. That's an excellent thing. I'd like to see them bring in another airline, like maybe Continental or something. We could use another airline in Midland. I would just tell them just to, you know, shoot, you know, just enjoy Midland. Go to the duck pond, or, you know, just go downtown and enjoy it.
Go everywhere.
Yeah, check it all out.
Thank you so much. In closing, I want to ask each of you to share your favorite memory in Midland, because I know both of you grew up here, and Alan, you've been here since the 70s. We all have so many wonderful memories with our families through the years in Midland. What's your favorite memory?
I think one of my favorite memories is actually from when I was a kid. We used to have sunrise services for Easter at Shap Center, and a lot of different churches came together. That was a huge part of my family's life and a part of my life. And so I remember just seeing the church work together in a broader sense, not just siloed churches, but people in our community. And I think that sense of community when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s really developed a love in me for our community. And so that's a really fond memory.
Thank you, Lori. Jerry?
Dennis the Menace Park. I'm telling you. So when I was around with Dennis Menace, you know, it had the little canal and the sand, and everything was metal, so it hurt when you got and played on the equipment.
Yes.
But you know, Dennis the Menace had such great memories, and all my buddies, we still talk about it today. So you can imagine when we revitalized the Dennis the Menace and brought in all the new equipment, brought the original line back, splash pad. It's amazing today how full it stays every day and all the memories that are being made there. So Dennis the Menace hits home with me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jerry and Alan.
It'd be when I bought my first house in 1982. That was my best moment there.
Aww.
I was like 20 years old or something like that.
I love that.
That was a good feeling.
That is a good feeling, nothing better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We are coming to the end of our forum, and I have to say it's been so lovely to hear each of you and why you're passionate about our city and what you love about the city. You, if elected, any one of you will be representing the North, the South, the West, the East. In conclusion, I would love to hear how you feel you will serve each of those areas the best and why you are the best candidate to be the mayor of Midland.
Excellent.
Lori?
Well, thank you so much. I really do think that there's so many great people in the Midland, in all parts of Midland, as you said. And so really making sure that we're having those town halls in different parts of the community, making sure that we're present in those locations, that we're going to different places. And I've already started this in a listening tour all around town. I'll be at Martinez Bakery this next week. And so we're doing these listening tours in different places now while we're a candidate, but then we need to continue that as mayor. And so I think that sort of communication and being the face of the city council as mayor, being present and willing to answer questions, even the hard questions, is really a critical thing. And so I believe that approachability and the willingness to collaborate with other leaders is really something that sets me apart, and has been something that I've demonstrated over the last 3 years on city council. And moving forward, I really want to see our community join together from all the different parts, so that we've got, North, South, East, and West Midland becomes a unified identity. And I think that is something that's really achievable if if we will collaborate and communicate and work together.
Thank you, Lori. Jerry?
Well, under my leadership, my record stands for itself. We could spend an hour here talking about our city council and all of the projects that we identified, that we corrected, that we completed in every sector of our city. Nobody was left out. Updating municipal pools, updating parks, updating roads, updating water in every aspect of our community. So I'm very proud that our community was touched in every area. You know, one thing that I really appreciate being in the service industry is that there's no walls. You walk in, you can bring your paper and show me your blueprint of your project that you want to do, and you can catch me, and we're going to sit down right there on the table or the bar top, and we're going to go through it. We're going to help you get your small business started or whatever you want to create here in Midland. So it's full transparency, good, clean communication. You're going to have a strong leader who believes in you, who believes in this town, because I love it very much, and I'm proud of all the accomplishments that we have created in Midland, Texas, and I look forward to doing more.
Thank you, Jerry. And Alan?
Like Lori said, you know, communications and us working together, and you know, just working together and doing what we need to do to get things in the perspective. You know, everybody has an opinion, and it doesn't hurt to listen to all of them. You know, that's how you learn.
Very true. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Let's give them a virtual big round of applause at home, wherever you're watching. We have Lori Blong with us, Jerry Morales and Robert Alan Dickson, all running for the mayor of Midland. We appreciate your time today. Thank you so much and getting to know you better. We have some important dates for you to mark on your calendar. October 28th is the last day to request a ballot by mail. Of course, early voting will begin October 24th, and Election Day is November 8th. Best of luck to all three of our candidates today. Thank you so much for your desire to serve our community and for doing what you're doing. We love Midland, and we love that you are wanting to serve Midland in this capacity. So best of luck to all of you, and thank you for joining us here for NewsWest 9's Mayoral Forum. We look forward to seeing you for future forums. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.